Good afternoon. First off, we'd like to thank you for being here to hear our grievance. And we'd just take a minute to introduce ourselves. My name is Julie Powell. I've been with Elmore County Schools for 13 years now. I spent 10 years at Elmore County High School teaching English, coaching, cheerleading, coaching track, extracurricular duties, yearbook, technology, National English Honor Society, you name it. At some point over those 10 years, I probably did it. In July of 2016, I transferred to the Department of Curriculum, the Secondary Education Department of Curriculum, as a curriculum specialist. And then in March of 2017, I was received a transfer back to Elmore County High School as an instructional coach, effective July 1 of that year. And this past July, I transferred to the Office of Technology as an innovation specialist. As far as qualifications, I hold a master's degree in education and I'm nationally board certified.
And I'm Latoya Davis. This is my 7th year in Elmore County. I came as an instructional coach at Wetumpka Elementary School. I was promoted to an administrator at Millbrook Middle School in 2016, January, and then again for the central office for curriculum specialist position. I now serve at Wetumpka Middle School as a 12-month teacher, but I function in the role of an instructional assistant as a part of the administrative team. In March of 2017, I was also transferred from the central office. Actually, I was offered an instructional assistant role at that time to Hopeful Community, but I asked to remain in this community where my children go to school. That's it.
All right, and before we say anything else, we'd like to say, although we may mention other names as part of our grievance is not with anyone other than Mr. Dennis. And so we are not, we're not filing our grievance or targeting any individual that we may name. It is strictly evidence and part of our case. So we'll go ahead and begin. In March of 2017, we both received transfers to schools when the superintendent dissolved the curriculum positions in order to put resources back in the school as they develop their own instructional programs. And that's Exhibit A in your folders. At the time, we didn't fight the transfers, and we didn't ask for hearings as the decisions appeared ethical and legal to us. And although we were not content about it, we did go back to the schools that we were assigned to and work effectively in our positions. We were disappointed. We were disappointed because we interviewed for those positions at the curriculum office. We interviewed against a lot of worthy candidates, a lot of our peers, and we received those positions. And we were unhappy with that. But we understood that the superintendent desired a less top-heavy central office, and so we accepted that and we moved back to the schools. However, since that time, we have seen a discrepancy in what was said and what has actually been done. And that's what we're going to address in our arguments.
And I did forget to list my qualifications. I do hold a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in administration, and an EDS in administration as well. So we'll start with our first concern. Our first concern, obviously, is the violation of the nepotism law, which is punishable up to $500, up to 1 year in prison, and disciplinary action. It is a criminal misdemeanor, and as you stated, it basically says that the superintendent cannot change the terms of contract of a relative without a third party. That was done, and this board approved it, but that is in violation of the nepotism law. We did ask that they self-report. We did not want to be the ones to report that, but we do want to acknowledge that that was the law that was violated, and we would like for fairness in all laws. We had the Students First law was applied to our transfer, and so we want fairness in applying all laws.
Our second concern is that since the superintendent has been in office, his sisters received favorable treatment. She's never received an official transfer, but she has acted more in the capacity of a curriculum employee than an instructional coach at Stanhope Elmore, to which she's assigned. As a matter of fact, we were transferred from curriculum effective July 1. Just 18 days later, Ms. Kayla was presenting with Dr. McGowan in a curriculum capacity out of our summer leadership. So it was just a matter of days before we started seeing some discrepancy in what was taking place. Ms. Kayla, Ms. Davis, and I also worked on Teacher Leader Academy together. We were just, I guess, removed from our capacity of Teacher Leader Academy with no notification in this last school year, even though we reported for meetings, even though it was clear while we were asked to lead Teacher Leader Academy in an email from Ms. Goodin on behalf of the superintendent, it was clear that there were workings on that Teacher Leader Academy that we were not privy to. I can remember showing up to do textbooks or something on behalf of Dr. McGowan after I'd been transferred, and he said something to the fact that Ms. Kaler came by and these are the books we're going to look at, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that we had gotten to that point. And his comment was maybe she feels more comfortable, coming to me, letting me look at it first, and then but it was obvious there was a lot of planning on Teacher Leader Academy that we were not privileged to. We'd show up for meetings, planning meetings. It was obvious there was already an agenda set. At some point, we were not even privileged to what was going on. For example, the last meeting, it was this is a surprise. So it was obvious that Ms. Kaler and Dr. McGowan were working on Teacher Leader Academy without us ever being privileged to that. It was obvious there were meetings that were held when we were not even consulted and not even communicated with. Furthermore, several months ago, Ms. Kaler established an office in the curriculum building in Ms. Davis's old office specifically, and that's been no secret. I'll be honest. Before I ever wrote the first the first formal complaint, I tried to work this out. I spoke with Dr. McGowan. I spoke with Susanne Goodin. I spoke with Mr. Dennis. And back, I think October 18th, October 22nd, when I spoke with Mr. Dennis about my concerns. And I was told several different things as to why Ms. Kaler was at central office. I was told that they were very close, Dr. McGowan and Ms. Kaler. I was told that they're friends. I was told that there's a trust level. I was told that there's a comfort level. I was told that by someone that they couldn't speak about that matter. I was told that it was part of the construction at SEHS, that there was no room, but everyone else has managed to work at SEHS. So I got several different answers, but I tried to resolve this situation informally before we ever determined that a formal grievance was going to be our only option. Other instructional coach duties or other duties for instructional coach, such as data and testing, has been handled by a media specialist at Stanhope. Miranda Morrison handled some of that. And so those are typically handled by a counselor and instructional coach and not a media specialist, not to mention a new media specialist at Stanhope Elmore High School. But essentially, the 12-month contract change, and we will note that we in no way would ever want to take money away from anyone, and in no way does this grievance have anything to do with wanting Ms. Kaler back on a 9-month contract. We don't want people messing with our pay. We are in no way attempting to deny Ms. Kaler her 12-month contract. But her 12-month contract change essentially put her in our position, because when she did that, then she also picked up a lot of curriculum duties that we were under the impression were being moved back to the school. We were told these duties were going back to the schools, and that these duties would not be handled from central office anymore.
Okay. And in addition to Mrs. Kaler helping out with curriculum issues, there was also Ms. Barrett was contracted to help with those issues as well. And we don't have a problem with that. We learned from Ms. Barrett. She trained most of us. The thing is, it was stated in this meeting that we would not hire anybody else. We did not need the people in curriculum. Essentially, we have restaffed the curriculum office. In fact, last week, a newer employee moved into the curriculum office as well. So you're talking taking 4 people from curriculum, moving into the schools so that we can support our schools, while unofficially allowing other people to work in the curriculum office and do curriculum duties. So our question is, if we are all 12-month teachers or instructional coaches, why are only some of us relegated to working for our schools, and then Ms. Kaler is essentially promoted to the central office to do curriculum duties?
Our next concern is we do believe there are serious problems with curriculum frameworks and benchmarks, so we've removed everybody from the curriculum office, and then we've undertaken benchmark testing. We've undertaken revising all of the, and I say revising loosely because really it's been a total change to essentially creating new curriculum documents, frameworks. As the former English curriculum specialist, when I look at those documents, I see holes, gaps, deficiencies. We have included the 7th grade documents in your packet. I have a copy of 8 through 12 right here. Dr. McGowan has a copy as well. And I'll tell you, this didn't come about with me digging, looking for something wrong with curriculum. but I have a daughter in 8th grade, and there was a particular assignment that looked a little odd for where she was at, and so I looked at the 8th grade English curriculum framework, and I thought, wow, those were just the standards covered last 9 weeks. And so when I looked, I noticed that a lot of the standards were repeated, and a lot of the standards were not included. So I went back and looked at all of them, and you'll notice the 7th grade's in there. The 7th grade curriculum framework for Elmore County includes 14 of 41 English standards. So if you have a 7th grade child and the teacher is following the curriculum framework that they're supposed to be following, then I'm not sure when they pick up the other 27 standards. So we have some serious gaps. I brought this to the attention of Dr. McGowan. The other grade levels have gaps as well. There's issues with teachers not really being sure. For example, if you're an English teacher, there may be a grammar topic on there, or the grammar standard on there pretty much covers the whole grammar book. Standard 36, usually most of them. But the teachers don't know, okay, well, this test is going to cover active passive voice, or this test is going to cover subject-verb agreement. The teachers have no idea when to teach certain grammar topics. And I brought that up, and as far as I know, it hasn't been clarified yet. The curriculum documents in 11th grade had argumentative writing being covered in the 4th 9 weeks, which would start after spring break. And at the time that was given to teachers, ACT testing was scheduled for February. The prompt is argumentative writing. So we're going to teach argumentative writing, or we were going to teach it after our major assessment. So, and there's lots of errors like that craft and structure, most of those standards are left out of the 8th grade document. That is a huge ACT standard. And I know because I taught English 11 for 3 years, so I was responsible for preparing my students for English reading and writing on the ACT.